has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. I got to tell you, Mike, I actually do believe that the Eagles are better than the Chiefs this year. I do. I think that Barkley's unstoppable. I think the Eagles' defense is every single bit as good as Kansas City's, if not better. And I think they have a legitimate shot to beat them. I really do. I mean, they couldn't even stop Cook, let alone this Barkley guy. I think Barkley will run for a bill or more. And, he didn't, what was his number? It was like 124. He didn't hit that, right? He didn't hit the number. It was like 118. I think that Kansas City's a lot tougher than Washington's defense. So I think it's going to be harder for Barkley, but I do not believe for 1 minute the Chiefs are running the ball on the Eagles. And I don't think they're passing the ball like they think they are against the Eagles either. I think that Q and, that secondary of the Eagles and their pass rush with Carter and company, their linebackers, I mean, they mean business. That defense, DeJean, I think, is a badass. Blankenship's a badass. He recovered a fumble yesterday. I mean, I think they're every bit. I think they're better than they were when they lost to them. And they gave them a game the last time. I think this is a way better team than the team that lost to the Chiefs. I think they can beat Kansas City.
I agree with you. I think that their defense is a lot better than 2 years ago when they lost to Kansas City. And I think you add in the element of Barkley that they didn't have 2 years ago. And I think all in all, it does make the Eagles a better team. It was a squash job yesterday, 55-23. They beat Washington. A lot of these Eagle games recently seem to be starting the same way, right? First offensive snap for the Eagles to the yard for Barkley on Westwood One Sports.
First play from scrimmage for Philly. They mark him down at the 40-yard line. Toss it to the left side. Barkley's got a lane to the 50, to the 45. Spin move to the 40. Barkley's still going. Zigzags inside. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Saquon Barkley. He is incredible. 60 yards spinning away from would-be tacklers.
Was that the Birdman?
Birdman on the call. There he was, getting involved on Westwood One. Nice job there by him. Of course, Barkley makes the Super Bowl in his first season in Philadelphia.
I bet John Mara's thrilled.
I know. I'm sure the Scotch went down just great.
They
last
got nothing
night,
for him.
Sitting in the
they
den.
got nothing. That's how stupid they are, and they still leave that guy in charge. Joe Shane is so stupid. He got nothing for this guy. You moron.
Here's Barkley on making the Super Bowl.
Don't matter if you don't win it, right? That's just the reality of it. All the things that we've done, and we've done a lot of special. Try not to curse this time, but you know what I mean. But the most special thing you can do is win the Super Bowl, and that's our goal. And obviously, I wasn't here 2 years ago, but I bought into this culture. I bought into this organization, and I know how those guys felt. So I'll make sure I do everything in my capability, and my ability that same thing will happen.
Listen, I will find no joy in them winning, but I hope they do because I can't stand the Chiefs, so I hope that Philly beats them, but I'm not going to get excited if they win. I'm just going to be like, thank God Kansas City got beat. That's it. I don't – honestly, the refs aren't going to do it to them. Someone's got to do it to them. It's got to be the Eagles. It's got to be Barkley and that defense. And I'll tell you one thing. If Jalen Hurts plays the way he did yesterday, which it never is that way, just so we're clear. Guys never do the exact same thing they did on Sunday, the next game. It never happens that way. What did he do in the game before that? He didn't have 3 touchdowns rushing. You're not going to have 3 touchdowns rushing against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. I'll tell you that much. But if he can, if Barkley can create a problem running the ball, then Hurts is going to be able to throw the ball at will. And guys are going to be wide open because it's going to be man coverage everywhere. You cannot ignore Barkley, what he does to a defense. They're going to be stacking the box. That's all there is to it. They're leaving all those receivers, Brown and Smith, in single coverage. That's it. It's almost like Jeremiah Smith in Ohio State. You leave him in single coverage, you're going to lose the game. I think Brown and Smith can crucify them, and Hurts is not bad at throwing the ball to him. He did it yesterday all day. I mean, they put 55 and ass spanking on their Commanders. It was ugly. It was awful. That was the worst title game I've seen. It was the highest scoring title blowout ever. It was the worst game ever. Yeah. That may have been the worst football game ever played. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
It was awful.
He was finding, Goddard was all over the place too, making catches for the Eagles as well. And he's dangerous too when you forget about him with everything else going on.
No doubt.
Barkley's 28th birthday will actually be on Super Bowl Sunday. I hope he gets a nice birthday present on that day. There's been a lot of bad stuff said about Jalen Hurts this year, his stats when the team wins, etc., loses. Nick Sirianni, a passionate defense of his starting quarterback.
Awesome. I think you heard what I said at the end of the game. It's amazing how much doubt there is sometimes. I can't quite comprehend it because, it doesn't look like people think it should look like. But the guy has been clutch. He's won a ton of football games.
Hate their own team. They hate it.
But you ran for this many yards. We don't care how we win. We don't care. If we rush for 300 and pass for 1 and we win, great. If we rush for 1 and pass for 300, great. Who cares? We've just continued to win. He's just continued to win, and I think the criticism is, whatever. He just wins. And I said what I said after the game.
Listen, I'm telling you, these fans are insane, and they literally despise him. And he goes out and they hate Sirianni, and he goes out and wins. Who don't they hate? They hate Santa Claus. They hate everybody. They hate Embiid. They hate everybody. And they hate themselves. They really do. They're disgusting. Like the guy that, abused a woman at the game. His life is ruined. He lost his job. What a loser. You're a loser, dude. You are the epitome of an Eagle fan. I mean, they should have him as the poster child. They should have a billboard outside the link. Who not to be. But I'll say this much. They can all suck on an egg because they're in the Super Bowl again, and that doesn't make them happy. When are they going to start complaining about the Super Bowl? Probably today. They're already complaining. I'm sure they're on the radio in Philly right now complaining about something. Maybe there's 7 touchdowns rushing. Complain about that, you stupid asses.
Jalen Hurts now has the most rushing touchdowns by any quarterback in NFL playoff history. Helps when you have a hat trick like he did yesterday.
Horrible.
Hurts joined Tom Brady, Big Ben, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes, the only quarterbacks to start multiple Super Bowls before turning the age of 27.
Yeah.
How about that? And I also saw another one he's the first quarterback to lose a Super Bowl and make it back again in the last 35, 40 years or something like that. All the quarterbacks that lost have not returned. Hurts the first one that is able to accomplish that feat as well, Scotty.
I think he's very talented. I also think at times I feel like he's got the body of a 35-year-old. Like he's got before the game he had his giant knee brace on, then he took it off. He's got body issues from playing in the NFL and frankly playing at Alabama and Oklahoma. I think you play big time college football at a big time power in the SEC or the Big 12 at the time when he was playing at Oklahoma, and then you play in the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles. Eventually, you're going to become Joe Namath. You're going to be a cripple by the time it's over.
Takes a lot of hits. A lot of hits he takes. He's got 2 weeks to rest himself up.
Hit that ice tub,
down
son.
there in New Orleans. Hit the ice tub, baby.
Jimmy Butler has spread his cancer all over the Heat, and he has ruined their season. I do believe they'll never recover from this disastrous guy that is, purged on them. I mean, he's ruined. Like, they don't matter anymore at all. Like, I watched them play last night. They suck.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so Super Bowl 59 on Bourbon Street at the legendary Spaceship Superdome, which I've been to many times, including I was there in the 85 Super Bowl when the Bears rolled the Patriots 46-10, and I was there for Indiana's win over Syracuse in 87 in the NCAA basketball championship on Keith Smart's game-winning shot. I've been there for many other games as well. It's just an iconic stadium. It's withstood everything, hurricanes, you name it. But that's where it is, and we'll be there, SportsGrid, setting the bar and the standard for excellence at the Media Row in the Convention Center in New Orleans starting February 3rd all week. Make sure you tune into SportsGrid on the TV side and SportsGrid Radio for the best coverage of the game between the Eagles and the Chiefs.
Indeed. Here we go for the first time on Coast to Coast. The numbers for Super Bowl 59. Right now, Chiefs -1.5. Total 49.5. Remember, they smashed through that when they played 2 years ago in Glendale. I think that me and you, we could get this out of the way now, and I know you'll do a lot of it next week while you're down there in New Orleans. I'm on the Eagles, Scotty. Yep. I'm just gonna. I don't care. It gonna keep smashing my head in again. I'm still gonna try to beat this guy. I'll keep bashing my head against the wall. I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, I hate both of them, so I don't care if I lose the bet. I'm just not gonna bet a lot of money on it. I won. I hit 7 of those 12 playoff games. I hit a lot of props. I hit a lot of tutty props this weekend. All you have to do is watch Friday. We were yelling them out. Carver High was giving them. I was giving them. Cook hit for me. McLaren hit for me. Hurts hit for me. So I'm into props for the Super Bowl. I'll get into some of that, but I don't like either team. So if I'm going to do it, like I'm wearing green today, aren't I? Okay, give me the Eagles in the 1.5. Over my dead body will I ever bet on. And you know it's the kiss of death, betting against this guy. And I don't even care. I don't even care. I'm going to bet light. I'm not going to bet a bunch of money on teams I don't like. So that's what I would recommend. Like, if you don't like them, then be careful with your money. Spend your money wisely. Don't be stupid. Like, I like betting on things that I have a chance to hit. And if I think I'm going to, because you never beat this guy, so why would you bet a bunch of money on it?
No, I'm with you. And, of course, I'll have a lot of a ton of props. I'm already in on – I like the crazy props for the Super Bowl.
That's what I want on this show is tons of your crazy props. I'm not interested in these teams. So give me tons of props that we can make money on. That's what I'm into all week.
I like the
10 a day.
stuff.
Give me 50 of them, 5 shows, 50 props. I'm all for it.
I always love the over 2.5 players to throw a pass, the cross-sport props with, how many goals in the hockey game in the afternoon versus that's where I'm going to be living for this game because like you, I'm not a fan of either team, especially one of them. So I'm going to just be looking for the crazy stuff to get myself interested.
Do it.
And jacked up over the next 2 weeks. As far as the MVP of the game, that is Patrick Mahomes plus 105 is the favorite, as he should be. Barkley plus 290, Hurts plus 380, Kelsey 17-1, Worthy 30-1. And, of course, there's further down the line some longer shots, but those are the heavies.
Well, man, that Barkley number's juicy. Plus 290.
Yeah.
He could easily be the MVP. Hurts at 380. Those are two I'd bet on right now.
I think the Hurts one is you almost never don't see the two quarterbacks as the top two guys on the MVP board. And I know Barkley has been so outstanding that's why he's there. But you look at that game yesterday, I know that Barkley had the 2 early touchdowns, but, Hurts ran for 3, threw for others. It would have been Hurts, in a game like yesterday. So I think that Hurts, for that number, on the surface right now, is a little bit of a better play than Barkley is when it comes to MVP for the Super Bowl.
And if it's Kansas City, it's automatic. It's Mahomes. Mahomes could throw 7 interceptions. He'll still get the MVP.
I agree. I don't really see any scenario where, unless it's some kind of defensive battle and Karlaftis has 2 or 3 sacks.
Please, Karlaftis, he's a great player. He's outstanding. He'll no more sniff that award than fly a kite.
And we've seen it. We've seen defensive guys even get shafted with huge performances to the quarterback, even in the last 5 to 10 years.
Roger Goodell will never let a defensive player win anything. He'd give it to a ref before he'd give it to a defensive player.
The refs, you got to give the ref. Make sure he gets.
He'd give the MVP of the Bills game the ref that ran drunk sideways yesterday on the 4th down spot. He got the MVP. For getting the Chiefs into the Super Bowl again. They just bought him a house in Kansas City, an A-frame downtown, right near Center City.
Remember, Ron Torbort is going to be the ref for the Super Bowl. I know that we
you might as well have Jeff Torborg. He just died. He'd do a better job.
Boy, Ron's going to have a lot of gas on him, man, with how this thing has ended, how we've gotten here. He's going to have a lot of gas.
I blame him already for the game, and it's 2 weeks away. I blame him already.
Ron's already finished. Haven't even gotten there yet. The game hasn't started.
He's gonna have to fall in his lap. He's gonna get a drinking problem and get MS. It's over.
I would say it would be great if they just let the teams play, but we know that's never going to happen.
That'll never happen.
There'll be some call that will go absolutely nuts. All right, we will come back.
Award a touchdown if they continue to do this on the tush-push plays. We are going to penalize the Bills.
That? Did you like that? How the ref of the Eagle game had to say that? We're going to give him a touch. Who would have they given the touchdown to in a scenario like that? That was bizarre.
Do I get a winning ticket on that for anytime Tutty?
Yeah, anytime Tutty. Ref.
Anytime Tutty.
Referee was what that one goes toward. All right, I have some other coach hirings, GM hirings, some other things that I will
also. Well, too, these hires. Oh, my God.
I know. Oh, Brian Schottenheimer, the Cowboy coach.
They went from Deion Sanders to Brian Schottenheimer. What could be worse? Jimmy Butler has spread his cancer all over the Heat, and he has ruined their season. I do believe they'll never recover from this disastrous guy that is, purged on them. I mean, he's ruined. Like, they don't matter anymore at all. Like, I watched them play last night. They suck.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We've got breaking spew news here.
Yes, I feel like it is actually. Isn't this the third time we've done this? Spew news involving, in the last month. This is the third time we've had a repeat spew news. This is not a replay. Jimmy Butler suspended indefinitely by the Heat after walking out of their shoot-around this morning. So, I mean, look, I'll give him credit. He's trying real hard to get traded. Like, he's doing everything, missing flights, walking out of shoot-arounds. Like, he's basically just saying, please, get me the hell out of here. I just don't want to be here anymore.
I mean, he really is a J-off. This guy is such a J-off. He is such a cancer and a team killer, and he doesn't matter anymore, and they act like he does, like he's some kind of stud dropping 30 a game. Those days are long gone. And this guy has just absolutely destroyed the Miami Heat this year. He's destroyed the team. The team is wrecked. They're ruined. They're going nowhere. The season's over. Pack it in. Glad Bag City. And it's all because of this guy. He is really something else. What a narcissistic tool this guy has become. I wouldn't want him anywhere near my organization. Nowhere near it. And now he's part of this gigantic alleged 5-team trade that they're saying is going to go down Carver High. And I'll talk to Coach Young about it when he comes on and get the particulars. But he ends up in this desert with the Suns. And then we'll talk about where all these other guys end up later. But I think he's just really a pain in the ass. Jimmy Butler he's just an absolute team wrecker.
He is, and he'll probably be out of there sooner rather than later. Trade deadline is close. February 6th, right? I believe it is, NBA trade deadline.
That's the week of the Super Bowl, on Tuesday or Wednesday.
And it is. It's Thursday the 6th while you're in New Orleans. And I said this to you last year because I guess with how the Super Bowl moves now, how stupid is the NBA? Why wouldn't you make it the next week when football's over? Nobody cares about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl's done, and you have the whole floor to yourselves. And you could have people talking about your sport, trade deadline, who's getting moved. Instead, you do it Super
well, I'll
Bowl
tell you
week.
what. I agree with you, but I'm going to take advantage of it because I'm so not interested in talking about the Eagles and the Chiefs that I'm going to make it a double segment in New Orleans. The trade deadline day. I may make it an entire hour. I mean, spare me. Maybe they did the right thing. This is the smartest thing Adam Silver's ever done to spare us the agony of spending 2 weeks talking about the Eagles and Chiefs.
Here's some other hirings and other things. Now, there were a lot of coaches introduced today with press conferences, and I've seen a bunch of this already. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a lot of these guys for you, including Jerry and Brian Schottenheimer, as he was introduced today as the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I can't believe they hired Brian Schottenheimer. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm stunning that they hired him. This is the Dallas Cowboys. And they hired Brian Schottenheimer, who's been a career assistant, offensive coordinator, everying for the last 20 years in the NFL. He's not better than Mike McCarthy at all. No, he is not. No, he is not. So we'll give you some of Shotty and
you know what?
Tomorrow.
And you know what McCarthy's going to get, right? Nothing. He's going to get no job.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing because there's only now one chair left at the table, which is the New Orleans Saints job, which McCarthy is interviewing there this week. There's other guys. It seems like they've been waiting for someone on one of these teams that's still in, whether that's Kellen Moore or who knows. It seems like they're waiting for a coach off of one of the Super Bowl teams.
Right.
Hopefully we'll get some more clarity for that this week. Joining Schottenheimer in Dallas could be fired Bear head coach Matt Eberflus as the defensive coordinator. So Eberflus, who did a pretty poor job as a head coach, but
pretty poor.
I'm trying to be nice to people in the new year.
Horrible.
I always say to you, I like when first-time coaches put a former head coach on their staff to help them with things.
No.
That's not the guy that you want helping you with anything.
Horrible.
He was awful, Eberflus.
So awful. Jimmy Butler has spread his cancer all over the Heat, and he has ruined their season. I do believe they'll never recover from this disastrous guy that is, purged on him. I mean, he's ruined. Like, they don't matter anymore at all. Like, I watched them play last night. They suck.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
half kickoff here, Carver High, as we continue to talk about NFL skinny.
Yes, over the weekend, the Jets found their general manager. Of course, we knew they were hiring Aaron Glenn as their new head coach. Darren Muji is their new general manager.
Ooh.
He was the Broncos assistant GM, Darren Muji. They were both
GM in training hire.
They were both introduced today. I'll give you some of that tomorrow because, again, people are pumped up. Jets won the press conference, as they usually do with these guys. Everybody's fired up. Buckle up, baby. Here come the Jets. They're back. Look out.
How pathetic. Like, are you kidding me? Like, who cares about the press conference? They never win.
They were asked about Aaron Rodgers as well, and the both of them said that they're going to look through all the tape, and they're going to look through all the tape and decide if it's best to move forward with Aaron. So God bless and good luck.
Here's the other worst one I've heard, that they'll bring back Sam Darnold to the Jets. Like, are you kidding me? Really?
Can't happen.
They ran him out of town on a rail, and they're going to bring him back? Like, you think he's going to be any different than he was in that playoff game? Oh, my God.
I can't see it. The Seahawks hired Clint Kubiak as offensive coordinator. He was the OC in New Orleans this past year.
Nepotism at its finest.
Yes, indeed. The Bears hired former Saint coach Dennis Allen as their defensive coordinator. So
he is the worst.
Ben Johnson there. Get things going on the defensive side. Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady pulled himself out of the Saints head coaching job, saying that he'll stay with the Bills. Maybe he should call the move to the left tush push again after the 12 times it didn't work last night. Call it again, Joe. Keep calling that play. The Patriots hired former Bears interim coach Thomas Brown as tight end coach / passing game coordinator. Man, that's a fall, right? You were the interim head coach, and now you're the tight end coach.
Now you're the interim what is that? The passing game coordinator?
Passing game coordinator. That's a tough scene for Thomas on that. The Lions promoted linebacker coach Kelvin Shepard to their defensive coordinator position. Former linebacker, I remember played for the Bills back in the day. He's been on that staff there the last couple of years.
I'm glad you know him.
Tyreek Hill wants to stay in Miami. Those end-of-season comments were just said out of frustration. You have nothing to worry about, Scotty. He doesn't want to leave Miami. He realized that he's got a nice house on the water, and the weather's always good, and he don't want to leave now. So what a stunning turn of events for Tyreek Hill.
I don't think it'll take long for him to start complaining again.
Probably not. I don't think it will take long either for that to start happening. Pete Carroll was introduced today as the new Raiders head coach. Carroll has remained close with Russell Wilson, could reunite in Vegas, and I will tie that into Art Rooney II, who spoke today from the Steelers for his end of the season discussion. And he said the team will sign either Fields or Wilson, not both. And he wants it to be multi-year deal. Does not want anybody on a 1 year, either quarterback on a 1 year deal. So tie those two things together, Scotty. Would you let Pete please take Russ? You can have Russ out in Vegas.
That's exactly what I want to happen. We saw him start fast and then crash and burn. He was terrible at the end. In December, he was even worse than terrible. And he's old and washed. And the young kid, Fields, can break ankles. And he has, I think, potentially a way higher upside for throwing. He was 4-2 throwing the ball. And he was running the ball and getting first downs left and right and third down precarious positions in the pocket. He gets out of there and creates. He's everything Hurts is. He's everything, frankly, Mahomes and Allen are when it comes to running the football. Let's just face facts. That's his best attribute. And Russell Wilson has none of that. And they talk about Russell Wilson's got this great arm. My ass. Okay, those days are over. His great arm is gone. That's done. And he's slower than a mule. Whenever he was in trouble in the pocket, he got sacked. Every single effing time he got sacked. And then when he did run the ball against Baltimore, he ran it down to the 5-yard line. And he got popped and fumbled. I've seen enough. You can have him with mayonnaise. See ya.
There was also talk of coaching. It doesn't sound like there's going to be really any changes to the staff. He also was asked about Tomlin. When you look at how many games Mike has won in this league, you don't win that many games if you're not a good coach. I know he's frustrated like we all are in terms of not being able to take the next step.
What we're going to do is raise the season ticket prices.
They asked about Tomlin if his message is still getting across. Art said, it's fair to question it after losing 5 in a row. But when I talk to the players, I think the players still want to play for Mike. And so I'm not concerned about his message. I didn't know Art talks to the players. How about that? Art's got a little sit down with some of the players, too.
Listen, let's just get real here for a second. I've been around the family since the beginning, since the chief, and it has gone downhill real quick. Down to this lawyer. Honestly, he's the son. He's like the redheaded stepchild. He's the one that never amounted to a hill of beans. They gave him the keys to the kingdom, and he's effed it all up. He doesn't know whether he's coming or going when it comes to football. He's the one son that couldn't get it done. You know what he is? He's Mark Davis without a cereal bowl haircut. You'll figure it out what that means.
I know.
I know you will. I'm talking about the audience.
We have another, what's the guy's name? Another Kendall Roy, I guess, right? Like I always tell you, Kendall Roy from Succession.
He's Kendall Roy.
With Hal, all these Hal Steinbrenner, they're all Kendall Roys.
The Kendall Roy fan club. They're all in that. And then we got the Quitters Club. We got all the best things on Coast to Coast. That's why it's top shelf status. You think you're better than us? You're tripping. We got all the funk here on this show. We got all the nicknames of funk, the categories. We got everything. Quitters Club, Kendall Roy Club. We got it all. Gladbag City, Hairdryer City. We got it all right here on Coast to Coast. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Consistency, day after day, week after week, year after year, just constantly coming through in the clutch. Carver High and Ferrall, whether you like it or not.
The last thing on the football today. The NFL is going to look to add. I can't believe I'm bringing up the refs again.
More rules.
They're going to look to add the quarterback slide hits to their new replay assist system that they have, so that the ref on the field
Mahomes
can get some help on those tough plays.
He just had another baby.
Just had another one. He needs all the help that he can get in that spot. So. Replay assist. Why don't they? I got an idea.
Robbed. They need to protect his house. They need to protect his body. They need to protect his wife so she can open her big fat mouth publicly she does every week. And she's another analyst now. Is she on ESPN yet? Have they given her a late night show yet? Is she working with Jason Kelsey yet? With all their crappy shows that they air?
Not.
Have they done that yet? No. I just turned it off. It's so bad. I just turned it off to watch a game that was played 24 hours ago that I know the final score of. I'm rewatching a hockey game. That's how bad ESPN is now. And you can quote me on that.
I just hope that the replay assist. I hope the replay assists for the quarterback slides are as good as the one they used yesterday for that spot on the fourth down. I hope it's just as good.
The only league that has their refs under control that do a good job is the NHL. That's it. This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because But you know he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you can.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away. Got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, Coach James Young is a badass. You see Betting Above the Rim, his podcast, Top Shelf. He's on Coast to Coast regularly because we love rack, pro and college, and high school, believe it or not. I won't talk about myself as usual or my daughter, but you got to admit she had a big game Saturday. And then, she had the best game I ever saw her have in her life. I mean, she hit 9 threes. I mean, it's insane. But let me say this to you. You and I keep talking about Jimmy Butler. Like, when are they going to cut the cancer out of the Miami Heat? Because he has destroyed the team. I don't care what anybody says. The team's destroyed. And what is the deal with this 5-team trade? What are the particulars? We're hearing him to the Suns, like Portis and Middleton to the Miami, Beal to Chicago. What else is happening in this big deal that's allegedly going to happen?
I mean, listen, it's kind of crazy here. First off, that we continue to talk about this every single time, folks. I only come on the show like 1 or twice a week. I feel like we've been talking about this for 2 months. But the particulars of the trade is a 5-team trade, right? Phoenix will receive Jimmy Butler. Chicago will get Bradley Beal and draft picks. Milwaukee gets Zach LaVine. Miami gets Middleton, Covington, and draft picks. And Detroit gets Bobby Portis. And if you think about it, the salaries match up. It makes sense. Why? Kevin O'Connor, I think, was one of the first people to, report this. One, but because of the trade that Utah made with Phoenix, they got those 3 first-round picks. So there's that draft pick apple they got from Utah that can now push them out, right? Miami will get Chris Middleton, someone that can come off the bench, Pat Connaughton, fortify the bench, and draft picks, right? Bobby Portis' experience will go to Detroit, a team I think makes the playoffs. Zach LaVine becomes that 2-guard next to Damian Lillard, a guy that's a proven scorer, can shoot it from 3. And Bradley Beal can go become the number 1 option in Chicago along with draft picks. So it makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make a lot of sense is the fact that Jimmy Butler continues to act like a grade A you-know-what. And it's getting worse. And if you're Riley, you're right. Ferrall, you got to get if you're not trading him yet, you got to get him off. You got to cut him. You got to get him off the team, away from the team, because it continues to be a headache. This Miami team is sitting at the 7th or 8th place in the Eastern Conference. They are fighting for the playoff lots. Now, I don't think they make the playoffs, but they still should be able to get in a play-in right now and be possibly a factor. And then that's when you get Spoelstra in a 1-game situation, arguably the best coach in the league. They got to get this trade done sooner or later. I think it gets done before the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard everything. Butler and DeLon Wright to the Suns, Dunn, Middleton, and Portis to the Heat. Bulls get Beal. Bucks get Levine. There's so many. The Dallas has been mentioned. Golden State has been mentioned. Houston has been mentioned. What do you believe? Because I trust you.
I think it's Phoenix. I think he's going to try and get his way to Phoenix. That team is basically just saying they have to make a move. They have to make forward right now. If you get Jimmy Butler engaged, does that make Phoenix a title contender? Yes, it does. It does. Because they're also going to turn around Ferrall because that trade for Nick Richards has been really good. I think 15.3, 12.3 in about 28 minutes. I knew Nick Richards was going to be a great trade. They still could also take use of Nurkic and move him for other parts to try and fortify that bench.
He barely plays. What is going on there with Budenholzer and this Nurkic?
Forget he barely plays. He don't play. They don't play him at all.
I know.
Well, at the end of the day, listen, Yusuf Nurkic is a defensive liability. He doesn't really guard anyone. And Nick Richards is so... Yeah, well, it sounds like me too. At 48, you're getting, hey, at 48 years old, you're getting one side. Either way, you're getting one side of the ball with Ferrall and Coach Young, and it ain't going to be our defense. So I'm going to score and get mine. I'll worry about the rebounding and stuff later. But when you look at it, it just makes sense for them to get rid of him too. Listen, besides Richards and Plumlee, they're going to play the Iguodala kid from Marquette as well. So, yeah, for all the we don't play no damn defense. Come on now. What are we talking about?
So wait, let's go to your plays tonight in the NBA and in college rack, because there are 3 good ranked games. One of them has Duke going, and there's great NBA games tonight, a boatload of them.
Yeah, we're going to go first off with the Lakers -5.5 at Charlotte. I think you look at the situation of this game tonight with the Lakers I think they're going to lose tomorrow night to Philadelphia in a second leg of back-to-back. So I'm going to take them on the first half, -5.5. Next, I'm going to go on the money line here, and I'm going to take the Magic versus the Heat because I just think the Heat are a hot mess. I know the Magic are not playing well, but they struggle to throw 9-14. I think they get the job at home.
Did you see Franz have 25 in the fourth of his 32? 25 in the fourth. I'd quit playing ball after that. I'd be so happy with myself.
Right. Well, of course, because it's 25 in the fourth quarter. You don't worry about the 28 points you probably give up on the other side. Now, when you look at the Knicks game tonight,
what do I care about that?
We're going to go with the Knicks -3.5 versus the Grizzlies. This Knicks team put up about 140 last game out versus Sacramento. Their offensive is going well. Raptors +2.5 against the Pelicans. Folks, the Raptors are secretly they're playing pretty well. They're 10-13 at home. I know they're 13-32, but they're not as bad as you think. RJ Barrett's come around. They've won 3 games around, including 2 at Atlanta, and I'm taking the Bucks -9 points at home tonight. I think they get a big, big, big win. At Utah.
Okay, what about college? Those 3 ranked games. You got Michigan playing, Duke playing, and Iowa State against Arizona late night.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Michigan minus the points. I just look at Michigan. The way they got beat up over the weekend, I think Dusty May will have that team out and they'll play better tonight. Duke -21.5. Listen, what's that big boy DJ Burns? Yeah, he ain't playing anymore for NC State.
Right.
So Duke wins and they win big. They've been absolutely rolling teams. Too close for a game at Wake. They rebound. And then Iowa State +2.5. I know this is a tricky spot because Arizona's playing better. TJ's got that team. They'll be ready to play. They go and they get the cover on the road.
At the McHale Center in Tucson. That place will be rocking tonight. That game's on late night on ESPN. I play at 9:30. I'll get home around 11, and I'm going to watch that game until I pass out. Coach, I love you. Have a good training session. Watch out for that chopper with that deep ball. That deep ball, Coach. This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So Coach had to split, so we're going to get into a deep dive on what happened in the NBA Sunday and even going back to Saturday, so the weekend of Pro Ball.
Yeah, really mostly Saturday. There was only one game on Sunday, and that was the Thunder beating the Blazers 118-108. So there wasn't anything else for Sunday's card, but there was a lot of stuff that happened Saturday. The Pacers and Spurs ended up splitting those two games in Paris. Yeah. Both games were blowouts for each team that won out there. So that's over and done with. The Heat beat the Nets Saturday night. The Nets retired Vince Carter's number during the festivities on Saturday night of that
big
game.
Event
everybody loves
in the Barclays. Very big.
Huge event. The Rockets beat the Cavs. Cavs have lost 3 straight now. 2 of those are to Houston over the past, and they lost Friday night to Philly, which was a bad loss. As well for the Cavs. You can't lose to the Sixers. Not with the way that they've played so far this year. Celtics beat the Mavs. One first from the game. Maxi Kleber suffered a foot fracture in that loss to Boston, so he's going to be done for a while. And there's a report going around that Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie is reportedly interested in buying the Celtics. Of course, there's been talk Celtics are available for sale. Lurie is a New England guy, despite owning the Philadelphia Eagles. He is a New England guy.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't care who owns the Celtics. I hate them, and no matter who it is. I want to tell you about this deal. One of the deals that's on the table that we're hearing about, which I don't really buy, is that Butler would end up in Dallas, and then he would get Brandon Ingram, Najee Marshall, and Daniel Tice. The Pelicans would get Gafford, Powell, Dwight Powell, and Klay Thompson, which I don't believe in. The Pistons would get Kleber and a 25 first-rounder, top 14 protected. Now, okay, so I don't believe it for 2 reasons. One, I don't think Dallas got Klay Thompson to trade him 4 months later. And I don't believe that someone's going to trade for Kleber with his broken foot right now. I mean, he's going to miss 2 months.
I wouldn't. I think the 2 things that you had at the end there are the biggest for me. A, this guy just broke his foot, and he's not going to be involved in any deal by next Thursday. There's just no way around that. And 2, there's no way Dallas, who did all the courting, bringing Klay there, bringing all that, would then go and sell him down the river to New Orleans, of all places.
They're a good team when Luka plays. When Luka plays with Kyrie and with Thompson, they're tough.
Look, they went to the finals last year. If everybody's healthy, if they have Luka and Kyrie and Lively and all these. I mean, they got a lot of guys out right now, Dallas. So I don't think there's anything to worry about there. Now, the other deal that's been floated about is the one with Butler going to Phoenix,
Yes,
Beal going to Chicago, Levine going to Milwaukee, Middleton, Portis, and some other parts going to Miami.
Done Middleton and Portis to Miami.
Right. So there's, that's been kind of floated about.
Yeah, I don't hear Connaughton's name involved in that deal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he, there's a lot of moving parts to that to make all the money work out. He probably would end up somewhere in that deal to make all the money work, but I'm not sure. These deals are hard to do. These 4 or 5 team trades with all that. So we'll see but something's going to happen because they're not just going to sit around and let go by next Thursday and keep Butler in Miami. That ain't going to go on. So he's going to be out of there. Knicks beat the Kings Saturday night, 143-120. The Sixers did beat the Bulls. Surprisingly, Paul George hurt again. He left that game Saturday with a pinky injury, getting an MRI. Not a good scene for him. The Lakers beat the Warriors by 10 on Saturday night as well. Did you see that Isaiah Thomas is back? He wants to try to get back. That's the player, correct. 2-time All-Star Isaiah Thomas. He rejoins the Jazz's G League team affiliate as he would like to once again try to climb his way back to the NBA.
He averaged 35 a night in the G League.
Yeah. Well, one thing that guy could always do, whether it was in Cleveland or Boston, he always fill it up. He can't do anything else, but he can fill it up. That's for sure. We'll come back, and before I do tonight's games, I will give you the participants in the dunk contest. I know you're very excited to know who's going to be dunking in San Francisco at the All-Star weekend. Yeah.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jimmy Butler has spread his cancer all over the Heat, and he has ruined their season. I do believe they'll never recover from this disastrous guy that is, purged on him. I mean, he's ruined. Like, they don't matter anymore at all. Like, I watched them play last night. They suck.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.